What's up, everybody? It's a beautiful evening here, Houston, Texas. Clouds in the sky. Got the fire pit going. I'm gonna try to try to give this a little bit of a relight, one-handed. We'll see how that goes. Hang on. I'm see. With a big lighter too. I don't know if that's impressive or not, but I consider it impressive. Anyway, so it's a beautiful night. Had a great day. Just enjoying some frog morning here. That's a Missouri immersion pipe. The same one actually I was smoking the other day when I did the ring video. We had we took kids out to Children's Museum earlier today, and they had a little trick or treat deal. It was a lot of fun. Sorry, y'all. I'm moving something from the pool real quick. There we go. Anyway, I went to that earlier today, which was a lot of fun. Before that, we actually took them out to breakfast, which is really nice. It's been a very perfect, relaxing Saturday. And even though it hasn't been cold, it's finally been cool enough to at least justify lighting something on fire. Which, it doesn't have to be freezing here. Just give us a little bit of breeze. And it's like, okay, well let's light something on fire, so. All right, hang on. Oh. I'll wait until I have favorable wind. But anyway, I thought I'd jump on here real quick, just say hello, see what's up. Of course, I'm rocking my Astros shirt. Obviously, I'm not a big sports guy, but I am all about representing for the home team. Sorry, Gene. Sorry, brother. I mean, all right, so as I mentioned, we took the kids to this children's museum thing. They dressed up. My wife and I dressed up. We had skeleton shirts. I did think about putting on their Red Sox, like hello, my name is, and then Red Sox World Series dreams or something like that. And the idea is that we're dead, or I don't know, something like that. That's the thing. I'm not a huge sports guy, but I do like trash talking other other cities and other teams when the time is appropriate. But the funny thing is, I don't know at all what I'm talking about. I don't even know who we're going to be facing in the World Series. I don't think we know yet. But regardless, I don't even know enough to know who we're potentially facing in the World Series. That's just how bad I am at the whole sports ball thing. But hey, I put on for the city. That's what it's about. I do represent for for the city. So, Braves or Dodgers? Oh, interesting. Okay, I do. When I was a kid, I was a Braves fan. And actually, we had. Let's see. I think the minor league team they're actually playing right now. Gene, good looking out. The minor league team I think that recruits for the Braves, if I'm not mistaken, is actually based out of Jackson or right outside of Jackson. I think that's right. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's right. And when we look at the Red Wings, I think they were called the Red Wings, which was they recruited for the Cardinals. But anyway, my lack of confidence in what I'm talking about communicates hopefully everything. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to represent in any kind of way that I don't know what I'm talking about. Yo, I've never tried, I don't think, to one hand anything with my pipe, but I've never needed to. Generally I've always had two hands available. But let's try this again. It's not a very even light, but it'll do. So as I mentioned before, smoking some Frog Morton, same Missouri Meerschaum pipe from the other night. Had an interesting situation happen this evening. I thought I'd share on here. So I'm sitting here with my daughter, my oldest, and I was telling, she asked me to tell her a story. At that point, her sister and her mom were painting pumpkins. And so I was telling her, just kind of a story. I've got different stories I tell my kids from time to time. And I thought, before I tell the story, let me get out my pipe. So I was enjoying my pipe. And so she just kind of looked at me. She's like, what is it like to smoke a pipe? And I was like, what a great question. It's such a simple, innocent question, you know? Like, what is it like to smoke a pipe? That's a very, I mean, you could even almost call it a basic question until you're asked it and you realize, like, how on earth do I communicate that? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what do words mean? Like, what is it like to, it's almost like trying to explain breathing air to a fish. Like, how do you explain something? Um, you get super cerebral about it? Do you get just very practical about it? It's like, oh, well, it's taking in air and kind of, experiencing the sensation of the flavors and kind of the warmth of the smoke before you breathe it out, and you don't inhale it, but you kind of enjoy that flavor. I did my best, and I probably failed miserably, but it was interesting, kind of explaining that to her, or trying to explain that to her. And I think that little interaction probably just set. I think that probably is going to inspire what's going to end up being our pipe smoking 101 for the beginning of next year. Because we always, or at least for the last several years, we've always started off the year after we've done our best stuff for the previous year. We start the new year with a pipe smoking 101. We do a couple of those throughout the year, but we always start the year with a pipe smoking 101. And I was thinking, like, what an interesting challenge to John David to ask him that question, that, like, with the innocence of like an 8-year-old child asking her father, what is it like to smoke a pipe? I think that'd be interesting. Let's see what Rob said. It's like being in a secret these days. It's like, and like in a secret club or something like that, maybe. But I think that's interesting. I think that'd be a unique challenge to John David, and I have a feeling it's one of those things that. All right, so this happens from time to time. I'll pitch an idea, or not even just me. I mean, like, y'all will pitch an idea, and I'll present it to John David, and he'll kind of be like, yeah, but like, what are we gonna say about that? Like, it'll got a helicopter flying by. Um, ask a question like, what are we gonna say about that? And like, and I'll typically come up with some sort of angle and that sort of thing. Yeah, pairing with barbecue. No, I know. See, that's the thing. We know what we'll say about that. It's just that I don't even think he's opposed to that anymore. I think it's just he's now so deep into his camp that he's not going to back out of it. Um, but I'll pitch something to him, and there'll be that kind of this question. So it'll be kind of a question of like, well, what's our angle here? How do we kind of present this? And that'll ultimately decide whether or not it's a show or not. But 9 times out of 10, if I hear from him these words, it's like, yeah, let me think on that. When I hear that, I'm like, oh, it's never going to happen. So hopefully this will be one that will happen. I think it'll be a good challenge, especially a good challenge to start off the new year with the lineup of on here. And I know there's absolutely no consistency. Everything is a surprise when it comes to the YouTube channel. So y'all are really awesome to pop on when you're able. All right, I'm gonna try to light this real quick again. As was pointed out, this is a very new pipe. Well, not, I've owned it for quite some time, but this is like literally I just started smoking it the other day. But I feel like I've clenched it so much that the wear and tear is already. It's not breaking down or anything, but I can already like my tongue can already feel, where my teeth are making their mark. I need the wind to blow that way. I have no indication of the wind. I do. In the back, I've got kind of a flag waving over there in the garden. but it's up against the wall and not really doing anybody any favors. But yeah, let's see. It's Halloween coming up. We got a few more weeks, or I guess one more week until Halloween. Got a lot of fun things planned. There's a local church in our right outside of our neighborhood, kind of a bigger one, and they do a fall festival. They're not our church, but we always go to it because they got a ton of good candy. They do like a laser tag deal. They've got a petting zoo. It's great. The kids love it. It's a lot of fun. So we'll be doing that. I think right before Halloween, and then on Halloween, our church is doing kind of a. Is Halloween Sunday? I think that's right. One way or the other. Our church is doing kind of a trunk or treat type situation that we'll be going in for, and then we'll also be coming back in enough time so the kids can trick or treat the neighborhood, and then I'll be out front with the fire pit and just passing out candy, looking crazy sus. I'm actually like last couple of years, like back when we lived in Jackson, we always had friends come and hang out in the front porch or front yard with me, have the fire pit, get some bourbon. My kids came back and everybody's kids came back, then we'd all be out in the yard. But since moving here, I've haven't had like my cousin, they came last year, which was nice. But since I had it ends up being me and like a bunch of empty chairs while the kids and my wife are all trick or treating. And then and so when people come by, they always give me like the side eye of like, well, who's the creepy guy drinking bourbon in this front yard? And then they the kids come back and like, oh, okay, it's fine. And then they come back and they they trick or treat. So anyway, I've invited some new friends over for that. I don't know if they'll be able to make it out or not, but hopefully I won't be sitting solo for a good chunk of the trick or treating time. Yep, yep. You know, University Pipe. Yes, missing the live shows or the shows we used to upload to YouTube. It's interesting that you word it like that, the upload to YouTube, because you didn't mention live. Would would there be any value to y'all if we were to upload them to YouTube, even if they weren't live? Um, because let's see, we got Ryan sitting back with a bowl, Windjammer, and the oh yeah, Kamoy Christmas 2019. Oh, nice after day. Electric work in the friend's new tobacco shop. All right, well hey, that's awesome. Ryan, where's the shop? Give the shop a little bit of a shout out. They're not open yet, but we'll mention them for sure. Gene says yes, even if not. Okay, that's good to know. So one of the things we've been looking at for this coming year, as I've kind of mentioned on some other, these kind of lives and everything, is we've got a really exciting suite of content coming y'all's way. We're really excited. We've been really kind of looking at this next year and we're looking at the next year and kind of reflecting back on like the earliest days of Country Squire Radio when this was just more of an idea and thinking about what it's become, which has been really good, but also recognizing what we originally wanted it to be and trying to kind of blend this two things of like what it has been, but also what our goal has been. And you'll hear more about this, but it's really bringing the spirit, that experience of a mom and pop pipe tobacco shop to podcast growing quickly. But wanting to kind of get back to that vision, and so we've got a lot of interesting things that we're going to try this next West year. The live interaction with all right, so that's the thing. We've been talking about, we've got some really great content, but we've also been talking about the way in which we record that content. And there's two ideas we've been kicking around. There's one that we've actually started as of this past week's recording, which will go out this coming Wednesday. Which was we started doing with camera, because for the longest time since I've been here, we've had camera off and we've just been going audio. And so we're like, all right, let's bring the camera back. Let's make sure that, because part of it is just, I don't know. We just haven't had the camera on, and so when you can see somebody, you feel more of a connection with them, and I think that energy kind of you'll hear that play to some extent. But the two big things that we've been considering for this coming year, which we still have not made a decision on, and so I'm kind of sharing this with you when it's still kind of in the crock pot, so to speak, is one is occasionally, potentially, this is not a promise at all, but doing them live via Zoom. There's a lot of reasons why I like that, and a lot of reasons why I don't like that. The pros and cons are pretty obvious. The big pro, obviously, has been mentioned, is that when we do it live, we get that live feedback, that live interaction from you guys, the tweets and everything. We love that. That was such a great part of the show in the past, and it's something we frankly both have missed a lot. And so that's an aspect that we would love to get back. The cons are lives. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm just so sick of live Zoom webinar type of experiences. And as nice as it is to see people and that sort of thing, I feel as though, and I mean, y'all may disagree with me, and some of y'all may think, oh, that's crazy, but I feel as though the separation actually becomes much more felt when you see the conversation happening over Zoom as opposed to when you don't see that. So there's kind of a tension that exists there. There's another aspect too, which is going back to live means a consistent recording time. And I won't name names, but one of us has a more difficult, we both have a difficult time with that. One of us has a more difficult time with that than the other. And so that's, we've got a really solid record time, and we have an even more solid backup record time, which works for us, but certainly wouldn't work for a live experience, especially when people are trying to make that part of their weekly rotation. So that's one thing. The other thing that is very fresh, but I really like the idea of, I don't know if it's practical, I don't know if it makes sense. So I think it was mentioned on this past week's episode that went out. It will certainly be referenced again on this coming week's. But a few weeks ago, I was on a recording retreat for another show, and we recorded 12 episodes, so about a quarter of the year's worth of content for that show at a 2-day period. And I've done these kind of recording retreats before with other shows and that sort of thing. And the goal is to get anywhere from 8 to 12 episodes in a 2-day session. And they're really great because what ends up happening is, in this situation, what you end up happening is everybody's in the same room, which is something that very rarely happens. There's a premium on that experience these days, because I would argue even before COVID, but I mean certainly after. We've all gotten so used to recording via Zoom or connecting with people all over the place, and there's just an energy that happens when you're in the exact same space. And the show, you feel it in the shows. You feel it like when you're listening to it. There's just something that's there. It's a little bit more magic into the experience. And then of course there's a practical aspect of it, is that now we have all the content and we can kind of prep it, give it a little bit of extra polish before it goes out. And with something like Country Squire Radio, which is generally, not universally, but generally evergreen, it's got value throughout. You can go back and listen to episodes from 4 or 5 years ago, and they still have every bit of relevancy as they have right now. And so we're considering doing something like that, with the idea being, and this is the thing, the is that sense of instant connection with y'all, especially if we're kind of gathering emails from 2 months into generally speaking, the mailbag is kind of packed, that we are about a month or two behind anyway. But even still, I think there's just kind of you leave room for those emails that come in that were just about that episode that you last had, so you kind of pull in, and there's that kind of energy in terms of the dynamic between the show and the audience that you don't want to lose. And so that's the con in that situation. But to counterbalance that, kind of thinking well, what if we did this? And again, not making any promises or anything like that. This is just still very much kind of the hopper. If we were to do that and do the recording treat in different locations throughout the year, and then either do a live show or some sort of live meetup at different parts of the United States. New Orleans is easy for us, but like a Chicago, maybe like an LA or something of that nature, where we specifically go, we record a bunch of content, but then we have a big meetup, or we do a final show live, and kind of give an opportunity to literally, and gonna hopefully meet a lot of y'all in person that we haven't gotten a chance to meet before. So that's a concept that we're kicking around. Neither one of those is solid at all. In fact, it's actually really good that John David never checks the YouTube channel, because if he did, he'd probably listen to like last several episodes, and be like, "Why are you telling him that?" This is like, well, I don't know. I was drinking whiskey and I got on the live thing. But anyway, so those are kind of some things we're kicking around. Let's see. Oh man, we got some baseball trash talk. I love it. That's good. Y'all, I'm just kind of scanning through some of the comments here real quick. Yeah, yeah, okay. Ryan's French shop is Mason Cigar Manor, Mason, Ohio. A few of the friends brought it, and oh, okay, you'll be one of the employees. All right, you'll be the to-go-to pipe guy. Well, Ryan, congratulations, brother. That's exciting. Wow, that is really exciting. Yeah, keep us informed with the progress of the shop and everything. Being the pipe guy at a cigar centric shop, I've known a few of those. That can be a lonely road, but also one of extreme honor. So yeah, wear that hat well, as I know you will. That's awesome. Um, Having a bowl of shipmate right now. All right, Sergeant, enjoy. Let's see. Cowboy coffee, going to have to order some more. All right. All right. Cincinnati area. Okay. Very good. All right. Oh, that's awesome, man. All right. So yeah, setting up a pipe studio in the cigar shop. So here's the thing. Be mindful. One of the things that uh, I always, as a someone who had a recording studio but also did a pipe tobacco podcast, one of the things I had is I had smoking equipment that was specifically and exclusively for the Squire. In fact, most of it actually still is at the Squire. And then I had the rest of the equipment because I had to separate the two. The obvious is not all my clients smoke pipes, and there is very much as you anything that exists in a tobacco store space is going to be a sponge for smell. And then the other two is just like, over time there's just more wear and tear is increased in that setting. So just be mindful. Make sure you're putting that into your budget when it comes to the equipment and everything that y'all invest in. But that's awesome. That's great. All right. Well, good deal. Well, y'all, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I think my fire is down to kind of the last little bit of embers, and you know what? Let me see. I'm gonna start one more time, see if I get a good light out of this. If the wind will. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. If this lights, all right. Mm. Y'all got any recommendations in terms of? Oh, Pegasus, nice. Where, like, if we were to do kind of a live meetup, where would be some good spots? Obviously, we've done St. Louis, New Orleans, Atlanta. No, we haven't done Atlanta. I'm sorry. St. Louis, New Orleans, Austin, Grand Rapids, Denver. 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 Huh. I've never considered it like that. that's, that's definitely the on the other side of the country. Denmark. That's on the other side of the world. Hmm. We probably wouldn't do international this year if we do this, but I'm not going to say never. Uh, uh, where is it? I'm smoking some Frogmorton. I believe Frogmorton Cellar University. Denver would be good. I don't. Yeah, I've been to Colorado once in my life, and it was a long time ago. Portland, Paul, where would you like for us to go? Oh, oh, Portland. Portland would be cool. Portland would definitely be cool. Cleveland, which Cleveland? There's a gazillion Clevelands. I'm guessing you mean Ohio, but what do you is that right? Oh yeah, Frogmorton Cellars is the best. All right, I figured that was probably the case. Ooh, that's good. Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. There's actually so the Frogmorton Cellar was actually left over because I packed some away for when I traveled for this last past trip. We packed some away for this last recording trip, and I can't remember if I shared this on the show, but it was wild. I was talking to one of the guys that was recording that week, and we were talking about a mutual friend who was in town for his daughter's wedding. Well, no, I'm sorry, not in town. He was in the country for his daughter's wedding because he's overseas. He's in the army, and he was on leave for his daughter's wedding. He's a minister. No, he's not a. Oh, I forget the name of it. He's not like a chaplain for the army. He's a soldier, um, but he's also an ordained minister. And so he came back into town to marry his daughter to her husband in New York. Wait, no, that's not right. Hang on. He was in town. No, it's my buddy. All right, so I'm getting it all straight, straightened out in my head. Sorry. So the guy I'm talking with, he was actually the minister for that wedding, and my buddy who's in the army is also a minister. They're both ministers. Uh, was in town for his daughter's wedding. But anyway, so while I was in New York at the wedding, he mentioned he was overseas. They had some downtime. He was smoking his pipe, and there's a guy in his platoon who also smokes a pipe, and you know somehow Country Squire Radio came up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I know that guy. He's like one of my best friends." And he's like, "What?" Like, yeah. And I told him because it's wild because my friend is not necessarily like a big Country Squire Radio listener. He does smoke a pipe, and but it's not like he's not like a listener of the show. I don't think anyway. But like it's wild that like one of the guys in his platoon is like a big listener of Country Squire Radio, and so it's just kind of like a great, you know, I don't know, that little connection point, especially when you're so far away from home. It made me happy that he was able to connect with the guy in his platoon over that. Uh, Thank you, Spurgeon. Appreciate that. Good to see you as well. Ooh, yo. All right. So I always try to like share some insights, some kind of the background of how the show is made, which I feel like I've done. Some thoughtful, provoking things, such as, what even is like, how would you describe smoking a pipe? All that kind of good stuff. Will I be at the Texas Pipe Show? Probably not, but I'm not sure. Probably not, but I'm not sure. Um, we're kind of getting to a tight space right now in terms of like locking down travel plans. Um, but I'm not saying no. I'm definitely not saying no. That's the other thing, actually. If we could somehow correspond, if we did those recording sessions with different pipe shows around the country, it'd be really cool. But at the same time, it would also be really cool to go to places that don't have pipe shows, where like the pipe community doesn't really have like a something pulling them in. I think something like that could be kind of cool. Oh, that's a great question, University. So the question is, what are some of the favorite pipes in our collection? Um, I've got a beautiful, I want to say Savinelli apple, kind of like a squash tomato apple. I think it's an apple. Yeah, I think that's the correct terminology. There was a gift from John David actually, and a couple other guys that I got right before. Uh, no, it was when I bought my first house, and it was a couple months before my firstborn was born. My first daughter was born. They all a couple guys chipped in, and John David cut them all. A deal. Kind of took some off from the shop and everything, and they all bought me this pipe, and it was one that I'd been admiring every single time I'd come into the shop. And they gave me that. Like literally, all the guys showed up on moving day to help move us into this house. And then afterwards, because I had promised everybody, I was like, "Look, we're gonna have donuts in the morning. I'm gonna do a cookout and everything else." And so we were cooking up some sausage and everything else. Everything got moved in. It was lightning fast. Just we had a, yeah. Tell you what, you know who loves you when they show up to help you move. We had a impressive group of folks. I'd never thought we'd have as many folks help us move as we did, but it was really very moving. No pun intended. But anyway, so those guys all had chipped in and bought me this pipe, and yeah. So we were eating sausage and everything. The work was done, and drinking beer and cider and burgers, and yeah, got to enjoy that pipe with them, and that holds a place of significant prominence in my collection. Another is very much one of my favorite pipes. I don't smoke it as often as I like, just because it's such a statement piece that. So it's a Nording. It's a Nording Churchwarden pipe, and very very big Churchwarden pipe. The bowl is quite massive. Love there's beautiful rustication on it, and that was a gift from a good friend of mine who was also a former business partner. Uh, and as I recall, he gave me that pipe right when we launched our back when we did Satchel. He's my business partner with Satchel, and it was one of his. Dude smokes like straight Perique, um, and that was like the most like it's still seasoned. I've smoked out of it a couple of times for sure, and done my best to reset it to some extent, and it still smokes like Perique. But it's kind of nice because it just reminds me of him, because his truck always just like reeked of Perique, which certainly not the worst thing. Um, but that's another favorite of mine in the collection. I've got so many different gifts, and from listeners and carvers and folks who were just starting out carving, folks who might not even be carving anymore, but just kind of tried for a pipe and kind of sent one in, that are just really, you know, they're precious to me. That's right. Is there a nice mild entry level Latakia I can recommend? No, I can't recommend one, but John David would probably be able to. Yeah, I would steer you wrong in that regard. Latakia is not. It's just not my go-to. There's just not a. It's not something I look for in a pipe tobacco, and so I'm not. John David would be a good one. That's a good question. That's definitely a good question. Ooh, shepherd's pie is delicious. I've not had Chelsea morning, but I have had shepherd's pie, and that is quite good. That is quite good. So yeah, good recommendation there, Portland. Freehand, very nice. Kamoy heirloom. 45 years. Wow. That's awesome. Fourth generation, 1885. It's been a long time since I've had some of the fourth generation blends. Um, we actually, when they first rolled out, they actually sponsored 10 episodes of Country Square Radio. And it was nice because, like, right when those came out, we got like a nice kind of pack of 10s to enjoy for some time, which was really great. Um, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Y'all, one of the best things about this show is kind of giving people a point to connect and kind of share different tastes and experiences. You know, I've referenced before, and I need to go back because there was a pipe tobacco I had when I was in London. Was it when I was in London? No, not when I was in London. It was when I was in New York. It was Nat Sherman. There was a Nat Sherman English blend. I need to go back and relook it up. And I don't even know if they make it anymore. But it was the best English blend I've ever had. Like, it was fantastic. And it was like a Nat Sherman number 18712. I don't know. I can't remember the number. I'm just making up numbers. But man, that you want to talk about a fine English blend. That was the first time that I was like, oh, so it's not all about aromatics. That's a really good one. I need to go back and check that one out. All right, y'all. I'm about to wrap things up here. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me for a little bit. Appreciate y'all so much. I hope y'all are having a good night. Yeah. Hope everybody's got a good Halloween they're looking forward to. Sounds good. Yeah, and we'll talk to y'all later. Be sure to, like I said, check out the this week's episode. As I mentioned last time I jumped on here, really excited for it. I think it's gonna be, I don't know, we had a lot of fun with it. Hope y'all enjoy it. I'm talking about Vincent Van Gogh. Really great episode. And yeah, we're just really excited for the remainder of the year, the great content we got coming y'all's way, and then also just some really exciting things for the future as well. So talk to y'all later. Hope y'all have a good night. Bye, everybody.